Gopala Astrology channel, where the science meets astrology for common man's understanding. Subscribe and stay tuned to this channel for continued astrological updates. Hello friends, welcome to Gopala Astrology channel once again, and today it's going to be a very interesting double transit video of Jupiter and Saturn. It's not exactly the transit, but it's actually the retrograde movement which has now come to a stop, and it is now going, both of them are going direct, both Saturn and Jupiter. I thought I will combine both of these effects, and then I'm going to make this as a continuation video of what I did on the September the 5th for the Jupiter retrograde movement. So it's a continuation video, and in this we are going to just try to understand how is this Jupiter and Saturn getting direct in the zodiac sign of Capricorn going to benefit the world. As I keep repeating to all of my clients that the Gochara Phalam or the transit results is only 25%, whereas the remaining 75% comes from your Dashas and Antardashas from your main chart. So do not focus too much on this and then get lost into it. So it has to be taken as a reference. And in between, there is also a term called Ashtaka Vargas that needs to be introduced. I'm going to make a separate video in detail about Ashtaka Vargas in the later stage. But please note that there is something called Bindus or the points, especially for Jupiter and Saturn. Go back to your native chart and look into it. If you are scoring with Jupiter more than 4 and above, maximum points is is about 8. So if you score 4 and above, the transit results of Jupiter in the Capricorn is going to give the best results. In the same way, the Saturn, if it yields 4 points and above in the Binna Astakavarga, there are two Astakavarga charts that you need to see those. One is known as the Sarva Astakavarga, which summarizes the whole of the planet's contribution to a particular Rashi, and the Binna Astakavarga is for the individual one. So you should look into the individual Astakavarga chart for Saturn and also for Jupiter. If they yield the points 4 and above, then the transit of them in the Jupiter, in the Capricorn zodiac sign itself is going to be beneficial. If not, whatever the results that I'm going to say will be reducing proportionately. If it is 3, if it is 2, 1, and so on. Right? So all these things has to be taken just as a reference and guide. The remaining 75% phalam or the results is coming from your dashas and antardashas from your main chart. All right, friends, let's go to the actual video for today. So it's going to be about the Jupiter and Saturn turning direct in Capricorn or Makara Rashi. So previously, as I answered some of the questions that was put in the comment section, so during the transit results, should we take the Lagnam or the Ascendant, or should we take the moon sign? I have been answering this patiently. The reason is this: you should know that Lagnam, whatever is the Ascendant that is there, it is going to give the actual results in the practical world, what is happening to us. Whereas the moon sign is going to tell you what is happening to you in your own mind, how the results are going to be there manifested in your own mind, your own thought process, because moon is all about thought process. All right, so please give only the importance accordingly, and always look into your main birth chart for the overall results. Okay, now I will just throw some more light again on the retrograde motion of the planet, and then we will proceed with the actual results. Okay, so now assume that this is Sun and this blue color ball is the Earth. So whenever the Earth is going around the Sun, it is going to form an orbit like this. And let's take our immediate neighbor, for example, Mars. The red ball is Mars, and then the blue ball is Earth. See what is happening if you are an observer from Earth. So the Mars appears, that is the red ball appears to go in a temporary reverse direction once it reaches this point because of the relative movements of the two planets. Okay, and that's all. There is a very, very temporary reverse motion. So let's try to understand this point in a little bit more detail. It arrives at a stationary point, and then it's going to become a direct motion. So let's go to that. So see this, what is happening. You will see that it's going to stop it for a while, it's going reverse, and then again it's going to come to a stationary point, and then it is going to go direct. So this is what is happening right now. Jupiter was here and Saturn was also in that stationary point. Now it has become direct. All right. So let's see the dates and more information about it. Saturn previously entered Capricorn zodiac sign on the January 23rd, 1990. If there are Westerners who are following this, these dates may look crazy because this is going through the sidereal system, okay, the Indian system of astrology. So it was declared as entering a point of Saturn on the 23rd of January 2020, according to that. Now, so the next point was on the 23rd of May 2021, this year, Saturn got into the retrograde motion in Capricorn. And now, as we speak, this video, as we are doing it, the 11th of October, it is already completed its retrograde motion. Now it has got into the direct motion. All right, so the same, and then later on, it will move to the Aquarius sign after staying for almost 2 years on the 16th of January 2023. It's a long time, Normally it takes about 2.5 hours to complete one zodiac sign, and this time it is taking a little extra. It's almost 3 years. The reason is because it went through a longer retrograde motion. All right. So the same thing is happening to Jupiter on the 18th, that is tomorrow. We are going to have the direct motion of Jupiter. So initially, I had already mentioned that the 14th of September, we had this Jupiter returning back to Capricorn. And then later on, by the 20th of November, next month, we are going to get it back to Aquarius. So right now, the video is done on the point that 18th of October, it starts moving towards the forward direction. So the retrograde, the red color direction, what I have shown here, has stopped. It has come to the stationary point, and now it is going in the direct motion. So we need to see all the results for every zodiac sign or the Rashis, and then try to analyze the movement of this jointly. I'm going to put side by side the Jupiter as well as Saturn for a better understanding, because Jupiter has its own properties, Saturn has its own properties. It's going to give results in a different way. So if we see that side by side, it makes more sense for me. All right. So let's start with Aries or Mesha Rashi. So this is for Mesha Lagna or the Mesha Rashi. That means the ascendant sign of Aries or ascendant or the moon sign of Aries. So how this transit is happening? So the Saturn is in the 10th house and it has now become direct. All these days, the 10th house is all about profession. Okay, so whenever there was some projects that were stuck in your job site, and now because of the retrograde movement of Saturn, it's going to become direct, and you are going to continue your projects easily, and you should be able to complete it better. Now, from the Saturn's point of view, it always has the drishti or the view on the third aspect, and then the seventh aspect, and then the aspect from itself. So these are the houses that is shown in the arrow mark here. So for Mesha Rashi or the Mesha Lagnam, it's going to see the 12th house. The unnecessary expenses can be curbed by Saturn, which is good. Okay, it also sees the 4th house of family. So when Saturn, being stationed in its own house, sees the 4th house, it helps to improve the family situation. Relationships becomes more stable, and then some real estate benefits also can be seen. Okay, but they will be definitely feeling more lazy to work because it becomes a very lethargic situation. And even the 7th house, it is aspecting from there, so it's also going to give you some kind of a some kind of a friction with the relationships. Okay, so but please note that Saturn, being a old planet, definitely helps you to make renovations on if you have an old property and things like you will try to patch up here and there, and you will improve your real estate situation. All right, overall everything is good for Aries in terms of Saturn being there in the 10th house. Let us see what happens when Jupiter in the 10th house becomes direct. Okay, so Jupiter is an extremely beneficial planet for Saturn. It's the lord of 9th house and then the lord of 12th house. 9th house of luck and 12th house of foreign lands, foreign connections. So now that lord becomes direct in the 10th house of work and profession. So what is really expected? You are not advised to make any major investments. I will tell you why. Because Guru is in the Neecha Sthanam right now. So a planet which is debilitated, of course there is a Neecha Banga Raja Yoga because of Saturn being there, but still Jupiter becomes debilitated and it is aspecting your houses of finance. So I always advise those people who wants to make some investments and put some money in the stocks and shares or whatever. Try to be extremely cautious now because the debilitated Jupiter may not benefit you. Okay, you may lose some money. So that's what is the thing that I'm saying. And then some loans can be curbed very easily. You will reduce your loans because Jupiter aspects your 6th house of loans and debts. And even there will be some improvement in the health part as well, as it is 6th house being aspected by Jupiter. Right. So overall, what I can see is you need to wait for 20th of November when Jupiter goes to the 11th house. So till then, we need to be very cautious and take one step at a time. Okay. So don't worry too much. I've given a lot of details here. If you are an Indian practicing Hinduism, you can apply turmeric tilak on the forehead every day and then pray to Lord Jupiter. Okay. So next topic is about Saturn's entry into Capricorn in a direct form for Taurus. So the Taurus is always benefited from its Lord Saturn because it's the Bhagyadipati. So he is known as the Yoga Karkataka planet for the natives who are from Taurus, and their luck definitely is going to improve. So all these projects which might have got stopped because of some kind of a hindrances with the Saturn being retrograde is now going to turn to a positive direction, and they may start getting good gains. Okay, you may have some code relation with the father. That means the father's health must have been really going through a lot of tough times because the 9th house represents father, and now the Saturn becoming direct may even get into some troubles in terms of life of the father. If those fathers who are really sick may even pass away. Okay, just take note of this point. And then you will also have some kind of fights with your own siblings. With the Saturn aspect on the 3rd house, there will be some bitter experiences, I can say. But try to control your emotions and talk only when it is really required with the siblings. Okay, Saturn's aspect will be there on the 11th house of incoming gains. So when Bhagyadipati sees the Labasthanam, right? So what I mean to say is the Lord of Luck, 9th Lord, seeing the 11th house definitely gives you a lot of incoming gains. So it's a lucky planet for Vrishabha Lagnam people. All right. So please, as a remedy, I would suggest you guys to light the mustard oil lamp in front of Shani temple on Saturdays. Okay, if you are a Hindu practicing person. Now, in terms of Jupiter, for Saturn, for the Taurus people, Jupiter happens to be not a Yoga Karaka planet because it rules the 8th house and then it also rules the 11th house of Badakasthana. So when this 8th Lord and 11th Lord goes to the 9th house, it may create some opportunities. It may even give you some journeys and improvement in the father's health. Okay, again, there will be some stress because again, Jupiter is debilitated, my friends. Please understand, Jupiter is debilitated in Capricorn. So even the father of the Taurian ascendants, people also they will get affected. All right. So the only way is you work hard and professionally you have to wait until the Jupiter really gets into a better position for you. Maybe when it comes to your 11th house. Okay. Till then, it may not really give you the benefit that you are looking for. All right. So the next one is Gemini. So for Gemini ascendant, it is happening in the 8th house. This transit, double transit of Saturn and Jupiter is happening in the 8th house. And 8th house is all about Ashtama Shani. So Ashtama Shani is really not a very good thing. It will make the native quite lazy. Some of them may lose their jobs. Okay. And I don't say that it's a very pleasant time for them. The reason is because the Saturn is aspecting the second house of incoming savings. It's not incoming gains, it's the savings. It is aspecting the children's house, fifth house, speculative business. So, and even the 10th house of profession. So, all these things are aspected by Saturn, and definitely you are going to see some kind of a pressure moment for you guys. Okay, so do not money in the speculative business, and if at all you are sticking to a job, please stick to that job. Do not change your jobs, and if it all happens, you may go for a longer break. All right. The next one with Jupiter's entry, because the Jupiter for Gemini ascendants, it is the seventh lord and then the 10th lord. So seventh lord, 10th lord goes to the 8th house. Again, it is not a very beneficial. You have to be very careful when you are dealing with partners, because seventh house is all about partnerships, and the lord of partnerships goes to the 8th house. So it is also not a very balanced trading that may happen with the business partners. All right. So investing in short-term policies will be good for this. That means 8th house is all about insurance. Okay, it is good to put some money in insurance and tighten up your insurance policies. So in terms of finances, you will be able to maintain some balance. There will be some balance. So why? Because Jupiter aspecting still seventh lord aspecting the second house. So there will be some kind of savings that is possible, but overall there will be discontentment. So it's not a very pleasant transit or the movement of Jupiter for Gemini ascendant people. All right. Next, let us take up the Cancer ascendant, Karkataka Rashi or the Cancer ascendant. For them, it is happening, for the Saturn transit is happening in the seventh house. The seventh house is all about partners again. So this is not a very pleasant situation. Those who are married may face some troubles with their in-laws and things like that. So on the professional front, you may get stuck up. So some of them, some of the jobs may get stuck, as we see that Saturn is aspecting the Lagna itself. Saturn aspects the fourth house of happiness, domestic happiness, and then the luck. So the ninth house of luck is also aspected by this Saturn. So there will be definitely some kind of lethargy. All right. So it's not going to be a very smooth transit for Karkataka Lagna people or Karkataka Rashi people. There may be some frictions here and there with the husband as well or the spouse as well. Okay. Next one, the Jupiter happens to be much better for Karkataka Rashi people. The reason is because for them it is the Bhagyadipati, the ninth lord, and then the sixth lord going to the seventh house, and Jupiter directly aspects their Lagna. So which is extremely important. Jupiter also aspects their 11th house of incoming gains. Jupiter also aspects their Dhairyam or the courage portion. So these three portions are being taken care for them. So Saturn transit is not that good, whereas Jupiter transit brings them much better favor. All right. So worshipping to Lord Shiva and offer the water to the Shivling every day. This is an extremely favorable type of a prayer for Cancer ascendant people. Okay. So don't worry much. One more point I wanted to mention about the spouses of these Cancer uh, ascendant people may suffer from kind of a liver problems or diabetic problems, because Jupiter represents liver. So those husbands or wives of these Cancer ascendant people, they may suffer from some kind of a stomach ailments or even diabetes. Okay, the next one, the Leo. Let's go to the Leo. Leo is all about the kings. They are the very, very independent people, and they have been suffering a lot, in fact, actually, from the Jupiter's transit, whereas Saturn in the sixth house is benefiting them. So for them, sixth house, bad planet in the bad house becomes a Raja Yogam. That's what I always keep saying them. So competition, they can have a very competitive edge, and you will get a very good deal of opportunities in the workplace. So sixth house Saturn, it's a day-to-day routine job that is seen from the sixth house, and Saturn here definitely gives you much better opportunities. All right. If at all there are some competitive exams written by the students of this Simha Lagnam, they will also get benefited from this. Okay. So Saturn here aspects the eighth house, and then it aspects the 12th house of, again, there is some problem here. And then the third house. It gives, it kinds of giving a courage for these people, but overall, I can say that it's not a it's 75% good and 25% bad from Saturn. Let's see what is happening for them with Jupiter. See, for the Leo ascendant, Jupiter happens to be the fifth lord, and then it is also the lord of Pisces, right? So it becomes the 7th, 8th lord. So fifth and eighth lord going to the sixth house. So eighth lord coming to sixth house is a benefit, but it is Neecha Sthanam. It is a debilitated position for Jupiter. So in this case, what happens, what is expected is, in terms of profession, you may witness some kind of a growth there, as the Jupiter aspects the 10th house, and then it also aspects the 12th house. You may establish some foreign contacts. Okay. However, the lot of loans, you have been under loans now. Slowly, you will come out of those loans. You have to work out towards it. In terms of love and relationship, you may not have much favorable time. You have to wait until Jupiter goes to the 7th house. Some of them are waiting for their marriages and things like that. It has been delayed. Once Jupiter enters the 7th house, it's going to bring down all those negativities and then gives you all positive results. So wait for 20th of November. It's not that far away. Okay. So the next one is for Kanya Rashi or Virgo. So for the Virgo ascendant natives, Saturn goes to the fifth house of children. So definitely there will be some kind of sidelining from the children. Children of these people becomes very busy, and there will be some kind of sidelining of them, and they may get frustrated. Okay, and then that's what is written here. Your bond with children may get dry. All right, that is the first thing that I'm seeing here for Kanya Rashi. But whereas it aspects the 11th house of incoming gains, even though the opportunities may come better for you guys, the finances, both the finance houses are seen in a tighter way by Saturn. So it is seeing the 11th house of incoming gains and second house of savings. So both of these will get affected. You may find some of your savings are drained off for unnecessary works, and then it will keep you on course. Okay, the best thing is to chant Shani mantra every day, especially after the sunset. All right. So in terms of Jupiter, that is much better and favorable for Virgo people. The reason is because for Virgo ascendant, the Jupiter happens to be the fourth house lord and then the 7th house lord. These two is a very good position. Both of them are Kendra Sthanas, and then it is going to Trikona. So this is giving the best results, one of the Raja Yogas actually. So Jupiter in the 5th house can give some remedy, even though I told that Saturn is creating some friction with the children. Here there is a compensation. So there will be some benefit here, and then even some relationships can develop better with the fifth house, and through this he's seeing the aspects of direct aspect on the 11th house. So whatever was told with Saturn is contradicting here, and so Jupiter can help you to save those money which Saturn is trying to drain you out. So both of them, we have to see the net effect. All right, so that's what it is. And then Jupiter aspecting the Lagna gives you better health, that is for sure. Okay, those who have been struggling in terms of some projects being stuck because all these days Jupiter was in the retrograde moment, that will get into a favorable situation. So Jupiter turning direct in the fifth house is always good for Kanya Rashi. All right, so let's now move on to the next one. It's about Libra or Thula Rashi. So what is happening here? So Lord Saturn happens to be the Lord of 4th house and 5th house for Thula Rashi people. So it's a Yogakaraka planet. So even Saturn gets exalted in Libra. That's what is being said. So now with this transit, Saturn sees 6th house, Saturn sees the 10th house of job, and Saturn sees the Lagna itself sitting in the 4th house. See, always please understand for Jupiter, the drishti is important, and for Saturn, the placement is important. Wherever the Saturn sits, he is going to give upliftment for that house. Whereas Jupiter, wherever it sits, it may not give much result. So that place itself, whereas its drishti is going to give you the best of the results. Okay, so that's the difference between whereas even the Saturn's drishti may not be good, whereas the placement is good. So that is the big difference between the Saturn and then Jupiter. So for these people, 4th house, it's going to improve the purchasing of a property. So real estate is going to improve better, and then drishti of that, there will be some change in job possibility is there, and then the health can affect. You may get some headaches. Okay, so Saturn aspecting the Libra directly on the thing, you may develop some headaches and things like that, but you will become very organized, you will become very disciplined, you will work hard and establish a good name in the market. All right, so keep praying for Lord Saturn, and every Saturday, and then light the till oil lamp. Okay, and good point here is that a lot of loans can be reduced as the Saturn aspects the 6th house. So now the contra here for Jupiter entry into the 4th house in direct form. So Jupiter becomes direct in the 4th house. So the contra here is that you will definitely buy an old property. So 4th house is of real estate. Even though it is Jupiter is in Neecha Sthanam, it is going to give you some investment in the old property. That's what I see. The first thing when 4th house Jupiter is seen for Libra ascendant. So from this ascendant, from this placement of Capricorn, it aspects the 8th house, 10th house, and then the 12th house. So in this form, what is going to happen is 8th house of health will be a bit affected. 10th house again is about job. Change of job is possible. So you will start thinking, you may develop some frustration in the job because Neecha Guru is looking into the 10th house, and then the 12th house of some foreign contacts is possible. Okay, even some of the people may think of migrating to foreign lands, people with Libra ascendant. Okay, so I would advise them to donate something for the needy children in terms of stationaries or uniforms or whatever. Help the poor and needy children. It will help you. Okay, next one is Scorpio ascendant. So Saturn for Scorpio ascendant, what is it doing now? Right now it is sitting in the 3rd house, which is very, very good. They came out of their 7.5 years period of Saturn, and now it is going to give you a lot of dhairyam or the courage. So only problem what I see for the Scorpio ascendant people is that the Rahu and Ketu, which is the nodes of the moon, are sitting right in their axis. It has delayed their marriages. Many good things that is supposed to happen to Scorpio ascendant people was really stopped because of that Rahu Ketu transit. But now Saturn getting into the 3rd house direct, that is very good. It's going to give you some power, You will improve the reputation in the office. Okay, those who want to think of changing their job, also possible. And the luck is being aspected by Saturn in the third house. So third lord in the third house gives you courage to change the jobs as well. However, there will be some kind of on a personal front, there will be some bitter experiences with the friends, and then the younger siblings. Just take note of that. And then overall, third house Saturn brings good luck. That's all I can say. Even though there are minor things that can be patched up, the Saturn in the third house gives really good results. All right. Next aspect of Jupiter. Jupiter is in the third house for you guys. The Lord of second house and fifth house. These are the two important positions which are good houses. Jupiter is really a good yoga karka for you, but unfortunately it is in the Neecha Sthanam. So again, those who are looking for new jobs, please take a screenshot of this and then you try to understand what I'm saying. Okay, so there will be some kind of a lack of motivation for you guys, and then there is a mixed results. But overall, Saturn always dominates you and gives you more power. Jupiter may not be so favorable to you at this moment because you may face some misunderstanding with the friends, and even in the professional life there will be some kinds of ups and downs, and you may really think of changing job. All right, so the next one is Sagittarius or Dhanas Rashi. For Sagittarius, Saturn will be in the second house. This is good. This is the last phase of Sade Sati, or the 7.5 years period of Saturn for Sagittarius people. Okay, so sitting in the second house, it may now help to save your money, because all these days it was in retrograde motion, and now it has turned direct. It will help you to save the money in a better way. And then you may try to little bit smart, work with your children, try to be possessive with them. Don't do that, and then it may cause some problem, especially the relationship with you and your children. Now, the third house, the Saturn's aspects on the eighth house can cause some kind of a health problems, especially for the females of this native. It may cause some kind of a lower abdomen problem. Okay, those who are suffering from piles and other things, they may get into some kind of a trouble. Okay, Saturn aspects the 11th house of incoming gains. Second lord aspecting the 11th house is still a better position. So they will be able to get into better job. They will be able to save money. And overall, you can get the better results when Saturn transit the third house and your Sade Sati, or the 7.5 years period, is completely over. So in terms of Jupiter's transit becoming direct in the Capricorn, that is very, very good. That is very, very good. There will be some kind of a peace of mind in the house. And then from the second house, it is seeing the sixth house, eighth house, and 10th house. So two bad houses of health it is seeing and aspecting. So you will definitely improve in your health. With the proper, you may get a proper doctor now. A good doctor is possible to come in, and then slowly you will get remedial measures. That's what is written here. Some good remedy is possible with the doctor. Okay, so all these days you are really not finding the correct diagnosis that is being done for you guys. So the health is definitely going to improve, and Jupiter also aspects the 10th house. So that is very, very good. In terms of job, progresses are good, and you will be in a commanding position in terms of job. All right. The next one is Capricorn. What is happening? All the magic is happening in this zodiac sign of Capricorn. The Lord of Capricorn, Saturn, is there itself. Jupiter also is there. So what does it tell? So it will give some kind of a relief in the midst of Sade Sati. So Sade Sati, or the 7.5 year, is already haunting you. But sorry, the Sade Sati has a little bit kind of a relief for this period, because the retrograde was quite intense for you guys, and now you are coming out of that. All right, so you will become more disciplined. You will start making rules and regulations, follow it, and your decision making power will become better, because Saturn is a very good decision maker. It is aspecting the third house of Dairyam, or the courage. It is aspecting the partner, so some kind of friction can be there with the partner and the spouse. And then the 10th house of job, definitely it is good. So when Saturn aspects Libra, which happens to be the 10th house for these ascendant people, it is going to give you some elevation in job. Okay, they will be very motivated to work. Then now the Jupiter goes to the direct motion in Capricorn. So how does this help? So it gives some kind of a courage. Okay, it is helping the children, fifth house. Okay, and then seventh house, spouse. Whatever negativities that Saturn was putting on the spouse, it's going to be compensated by Jupiter. That's why I'm putting these two slides side by side. You can see the contrast. Okay, so Jupiter helps to establish better relation with the spouse, because it is the exaltation point for Jupiter, the Cancer. So it is going to compromise. And then the Virgo, it aspects the ninth house of luck. This is extremely important. So whenever Jupiter sits in the Lagna, fifth, seventh, and ninth, all 3 points are accelerated. So please be there. There may be some risks in the investment. Don't do that. Other than that, I will always say better results for Capricorn. Okay, Aquarius was going through a lot of tough time, my friends. Whoever is Aquarius, they are having 12th house of Saturn. The Sade Sati is really in the peak, and now the direct motion has happened for Saturn. So some of the dreams can become fulfilled, and at least unproductive expenditures you are going to stop. Right, Saturn, which was in the 12th house of not required expenses, you are spending on a lot, you are draining out, and now you will not do that. All right, so your bond with the siblings will not be good. Please note that the aspect on the third house, aspects on the family is going to have some kind of an issue. And then it is also aspecting the spouse. Sixth house. I'm very sorry. It is aspecting the sixth house, which is good. So some business contacts with the foreigners can be established in your day-to-day routine job. So because sixth and ninth is aspected by a beautiful Saturn for you guys, so you will have some kind of a new contacts that you will establish with the foreign countries. If you are working in an MNC company, you will see some kind of a betterment in your job. All right, so overall, the Saturn is going to give some relief to Rashi or the Aquarius people who are really suffering. All right, the Jupiter's entry in the Capricorn in a direct form for you guys, it is the Lord of second house and the 11th house inside the 12th house. So it's like you will spend money, of course, you will spend it for a good purpose. Jupiter is always a good planet. Your expenses will be more on spirituality and things like that. Okay, which is good to invest. Spiritual investment always be good for long term. Okay, and then some health issues which you are finding a bit difficult to see the right doctor and diagnosing the right thing for you. Now, after the Jupiter becomes straight here, direct here, it's going to aspect the sixth house of health, and it's going to aspect the eighth house of problems as well, health problems as well. So you'll see some kind of a relief on the fourth house of real estate as well, which is good. And overall in profession, you will be able to crack some deals. So you will be able to impress your boss in terms of the day-to-day routine activities of sixth house is being benefited. Okay, so the customer handling will improve, of course, yes. And now the last one for the Pisces. So, or the Meena Rashi or Meena Lagnam. So for Pisces, it is happening in the 11th house, which is extremely good. So Saturn becoming direct here will start giving you the best of the results. So if you are a student, it aspects your fifth house. You may gain, really a good result for your hard work. You have been working very hard, and you are very doubtful whether you will get the results or not. But those hard works are going to pay off with Saturn's direct drishti on the 5th house of education for children. Okay, and even the health-wise, you will have a much improvement. You will become very motivated to do many new things, and then it is aspecting your 8th house of health as well. So it is bad planet in the bad house is Raja Yoga. What we say again, Saturn aspecting your 8th house, which is the exaltation position for Saturn, also improves your health. Overall, there is a very, very lucky situation for Pisceans. Good luck for you guys. So, out of all the 12 zodiac signs, this transit of Saturn brings the maximum results for Pisces. Okay, and then in terms of Jupiter as well, you guys have double benefit. It is getting into the 11th house. The Lagna Lord goes to the 11th house, is one of the best positions that you can see. Okay, the finances, whatever is said against that, we will always say that Jupiter in the 11th house gives the best results because it gives you the dhairyam, it gives you courage, it gives you the best education and opportunities. Speculative business is possible, and then it will also improve the relationship. So it aspects your spouse, and you will always be able to have a very good relationship. And if you are not married, if you are looking for marriage, you will be able to marry. Okay, this year is going to be good for you guys. And then, but you have to be cautious when Jupiter goes to the 12th house later on by 20th of November. But for you guys, luckily, Saturn is going to be there until the first quarter of 2023. All right, so overall results are seen for Meena Rashi or Meena Lagnam people. So with this, we have come to the end of this video. If you have any questions, please type it in the comment section. Sorry, it was a long video, but I had to make it step by step so that every Rashi or zodiac sign is covered. Thanks a lot.